area too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, so 3 o'clock in Houston, June the 17th. And as usual, let's get started with a prayer. And I really like this meditation from Suzanne Wilson. I will go ahead and play that. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Sit upright in a chair, both feet on the floor. Yoga students may prefer the half lotus position, or you may need to lie down with a pillow under your knees to support your back. Let your hands rest in your lap, palms facing up. Close your eyes and mouth and breathe gently through your nose. With each inhale, visualize white light entering your body. And as you exhale, let all your breath out slowly, breathing in white light and breathing out all stress, anxiety, letting it go. Simply be in the now, the present, this very moment. Divine Source, thank you for blessing me with this day, with my life and all my many blessings. Thank you for giving me another day to be of service in this life and in this body. I ask that you cleanse me in divine white light, erasing all energy that does not belong in my auric field. Surround me in a beautiful, translucent, golden bubble of protection that is bathed in your divine white light, sealing in all my positive energies and good health, sealing out all negative energies, all ill health, all entities from lower realms, and I send white light to the lower realms so that only peace, love, and protection may enter in. I give gratitude for my spiritual team, spirit guides, angels, and my loved ones in the light. I send this light out to each of my loved ones on both the physical plane and the spiritual plane. I send this light out to all those in need of a physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. I connect with universal consciousness. I connect with all beings who are in meditation at this moment. I am eternal. I am one with Divine Source. I am one with all. Compassion guides all my thoughts, words, actions, and I trust that I will complete my greater work before I transition to heavenly home with gratitude and joy. I am a child of God. And so it is.
All right. So, say hi, Sid. Hey guys. So, we I think last Saturday, then we finished with the discussion over Astral City was the second and final part discussion on this book, and the next one is going to be the messengers. So we'll try to prepare some material for and select some topics for us to discuss and talk about this book. If you didn't read the book, fine. If you did read the book, awesome. Then just send any questions to us. Something that perhaps you would like to understand better or to bring for discussions. If you didn't read it, that's fine. Then we can give you a short, quick introduction to what this book is about. But it's a very nice one. I like this book very much. And for today, before we start with the spirits book, I'd like to bring this story. Is a real life story from Chico Xavier, and I happened to listen to an audiobook that is about Chico's life during the week, and in that audiobook there were very nice, interesting stories. And I very much like this particular one. So the story is told by Chico's friend, and it says the following, that in the middle of the 1932, the Luis Gonzaga Spiritist Center, the Spiritist Center, the first Spiritist Center that Chico was, attending. So that Spiritist Center back in 1932 was reduced to a group of 5 people only. And that people were a couple, José Hermínio Perácio, his wife, Carmen Pena Perácio, Chico's brother, José Xavier, and Chico's brother's wife, Geni Pena Xavier, and Chico. So 2 couples and Chico. So 5 people only. So the sick and obsessed, incarnated people, the sick and obsessed, always appeared, but after the first improvements, they would vanish as if by magic. So people attending that Spiritist Center, as long as they had problem, then they were going to the Spiritist Center. If they didn't have, or they were okay, so they were not going. However, Perácio, Chico's friend, and his wife needed to move to Belo Horizonte due to family reasons. The group now was left with only 3 members. Yet, Mrs. Geni, José Xavier's wife, fell ill, and the house was now left with only 2 brothers, the 2 brothers, Chico and his brother José Xavier. But José was a saddle maker. Horses, so saddle maker. And at that time, he was approached by a creditor who sold him some leather material. The creditor insisted on receiving his services at night in a harness workshop as a form of payment for the debt. Therefore, despite his willingness, José needed to interrupt his attendance to the group at least for a few months. Finding himself alone, so now attending the Spiritist Center at night was just Chico. Finding himself alone, the medium also wanted to stop the night services. But on the first night, he was alone at the Spiritist Center, not knowing what to do. Emmanuel appeared to him and said, "You cannot leave. Let's continue our service." "Continue? How?" said Chico. "We don't have attendees." And then Emmanuel said, "How come? What about us? We also need to hear the gospel to reduce our mistakes, to kind of, learn from it. And besides us, there are numerous discarnated spirits here who need enlightenment and comfort. Open the meeting at the regular time. Let's study the Lord's lesson together, and don't end the session before 2 hours of work elapsed. So think about Chico in that Spiritist Center, alone by himself, reading the Gospel according to Spiritism by himself for 2 hours. And so for many months, from 1932 to 1934, Chico opened the small hall of the center and said the opening prayer promptly at 8 p.m. Then he would randomly open the Gospel according to Spiritism and read a particular instruction, commenting on it out loud. During this time, his clairvoyance became clearer. He saw and heard dozens of suffering discarnate souls who came to the group seeking peace and healing. He listened to their questions and gave them answers under Emmanuel's direct inspiration. Nevertheless, for others, incarnated people, he prayed, spoke, and gestured alone. In these meetings of medium alone with discarnate spirits and an illuminated and open door Spiritist Center were repeated every Monday and every Friday night for 2 years. So there are so many things, and this story is here in this book that is not translated, I guess, to English, but it's Chico's cisco de Deus in Portuguese, but it's like a spark, like from God. So there are so many things for us to learn from this little story. And I would like to call attention to some aspects of this. First is about Chico's family. It doesn't say here, but in the book, it says that one of those nights, Chico's sister, she was passing by, and then she saw Chico talking to himself, apparently talking by himself in that room. And then she just stopped by, and she was looking over the window, and she thought that he was going nuts. He was kind of crazy. So then she went to the house and talked to the family, their brothers, sisters, and their father. And then she was saying, I think Chico is not well. I just saw him talking to himself, and he was alone in the Spirit Center. So it was like a lot of discussion within the family. Perhaps Chico was not doing well. Perhaps Chico was falling ill or something like this. Up to the point that somebody said, I think was his father said, no, wait a minute. Let's give him some credit. Let's see how he does in his job. So for example, is he going to his job every day on time? Is he coping with all the tasks that he's given? Is he performing well in his job? And the answer for all those questions were yes, there was nothing wrong. And then his father said, well, if he can take care of his practical life, his, his responsibilities, so let's wait and see what happens. So because of Chico's character and his discipline on not only his work life, but also as a spiritist, because of his discipline, his determination, then people didn't really put a label on him saying that he was a crazy man, knowing how determined, how strong he was in his character, in his ethics and moral values. So then the second one is his commitment. Even though there was no incarnated, there was not a whole lot of people helping or attending, or a lot of people committed with the Spirit Center, yet he persisted in his work. So he was so strongly committed to that work. He believed a lot that was making a difference, and not knowing exactly what the plan was, what the end, what exactly he was supposed to achieve. He just did it. And then he did it not knowing the entire purpose. And actually, the spirituality had a very nice purpose for all that experience, meaning Chico's clairvoyance. So for 2 years, he had a chance to improve, to dedicate, to practice, and improve his clairvoyance. He had a chance to talk to discarnated people and improve in his fraternal service. And he had a chance also to not only practice, but to reinforce the bond between him and those in need, as well as those assisting him, like Emmanuel, for example, his spiritual guide. But above all, he had a chance to practice patience, benevolence, love, understanding, compassion. So if there were incarnated people going there, he was not criticizing, he was not judging anybody, because it caught my attention, despite the fact that that was like 1930s, but it was, to me, it was like Chico knows exactly how, some of the tools that we use today. For example, I use some tools to work on my job, and every time that we are putting a team together, we know exactly before we achieve something, before we meet a goal, before we reach somewhere, there are very distinguished stages for that group, for that mission. That is forming, storming, norming, performing. So forming, so we have this group of people coming together like form a spiritist center or to work in a spiritist center. And everybody's so excited, about the novelty, about, what we can do. Let's go, let's do it. It's a great idea. Let's help everybody, etc., etc. And lots of expectations. And then as time goes by, we kind of anticipate that we cannot literally live up to everybody's expectations. We cannot do this, right? So we start looking at, okay, so some conflicts start, showing up. Some people start to express their frustration, their disbelief in the work or disbelief in some of the team members. And then, several conflicts and kind of, it's literally, storming is a very nice word to say. And as time goes by, as this team persists together and things settle a little bit, more. Now we see that, well, you know what, perhaps what we had was not like as bad as we thought. So we kind of begin to resolve the discrepancies every team member felt between their individual expectations and the reality of the team. So we become more flexible, we become more inclusive, and so the team members feel like an increasing acceptance of others on the team, recognizing that actually the variety of opinions and variety of expectations and experiences makes the team stronger. And so and then that's norming stage, like everybody start making a conscious effort to resolve problems and above all achieve group harmony. That's what we in that stage, that's what we really try to come up with, group harmony despite of everything else. So once that happens, now we are performing. Now we feel satisfaction in the team's progress. We start sharing our insights. We become realizing that the greater than the sum, we start realizing that we are actually greater than the sum of its parts. So the members feel like a little bit more confident in their individual abilities, and not only their individual abilities, but their teammates' individual ability. So Chico, he was patient enough to wait. And not only that, but he was faithful enough. He trusts so well in his spiritual guide that he just gives some time. And sure enough, 2 years later, that spiritist center was booming, was like, and guess what? Some years later, 400 books written, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people incarnated, not to mention the discarnated spirits, but thousands of people helped. So that's a short story, but a lot of lessons that I would like to mention today. Luis, you want to comment or somebody? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I think people, we can understand this, so important in any kind of group that is being set up. But you can imagine how strong this reality is when it comes to mediumistic groups, for example, mediumistic circles. Because in a truly oriented or a truly a sincere mediumistic group that wants to go higher and to get in touch with higher spirits, how strong obstacles we'll have to face in the pathway, because it's all about cleansing our egos, right? So it's not easy. And I remember once I took part in several mediumistic circles in my life. There was one particularly that was had great potential, because everybody studied hard, everybody dedicated to tasks in the field. And but the first days we got together, I was the monitor of this group. The first day we got together, Spirit came through, a medium said, look, sooner or later, you'll have to take a very strong step, right? And because look, people, when you are in a mediumistic group, for the mediumship to be used by the good spirits, your anemic side, which is the amount of memories from past reincarnations, have to be used by them to communicate through you. Well, suppose you were a doctor in 5 reincarnations ago, and at a certain moment they need you to write what a doctor is telling you to write, and you don't know nothing about medicine this reincarnation, but suddenly the knowledge comes through, right? If they have this access. But there's a side effect, a collateral effect that only one thing can solve. The collateral effect is your inner side, from dark side from past moments, can also come together. So for example, we are connected many times even because of karma. So in groups like this, sometimes people have affections, non-affective people, the people that were our enemies in the past, and the impression comes out. You may not see what happened in the past, you may not understand what's going on, but suddenly you start feeling very bad next to someone inside the meeting. Things that were very calm at first can be very stormy, and just like Anna was saying. So there's only one solution for that: forgiveness. Forgiveness, understanding, and a lot of patience with us, with ourselves,
Compassion,
and with
right?
others. Otherwise, the group just blows up. Because remember Star Trek, the final frontier, right? Yes, our ego is one of our final frontiers when it comes to dealing with true spirituality, right? So we need to put the cause above all, the cause above ourselves, right? It's not easy, I know, right? But persistence is the key, right? And forgiveness is one of the tools for us to go on persisting, right? In the work of the group, so that the group can really perform what it has come to do, right?
Yeah, and that's something that we constantly remind ourselves, Luis, because like in Brazil, we say so common that in every spirit center there are some groups that they disagree, and then they just
Yeah, that's why Allan Kardec wisely advised not to make big groups, but to make groups through affinity of thoughts. People could study together and get together. Of course, here we have something which is what makes things a little bit more difficult because we are far away from each other. We can meet online. The group is recorded. We need to record. So and not exactly ourselves all the time here, right? But in time, maybe we can get more intimate in a good sense of the word. And yes, and go on surpassing, coming over those obstacles to make something brighter in the future. That's what hopefully we can do.
Yeah, like in this story, they say, above all, what Chico was really looking for and fighting for was harmony, right? No matter what. So, yeah. Okay, so let's continue. Any other comments, someone? No? Okay, so I guess Hyacinth, please. You are on mute.
I was very, very interested to hear that the discarnate spirits are also learning, because in the book with St. Stephen, he said one evening when he spoke to a medium, am I invited to the party? And so they said, what party? Oh, he said, there are lots of people here listening and learning, but you don't see them. So
absolutely. For that specific reason, Hyacinth, when we do, for example, every Tuesday night, I do the gospel at home here in my house. It's just me, myself, and I, and the dogs, 2 dogs. But the instruction is really to read the books out loud. And comments, if I have any comments, I say it out loud. And the prayers, I say it out loud.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are sometimes it's very noticeable that I'm not really me, myself, and I, and the dogs. I do have other companions too. So because they are there listening.
yes. And the other thing is, always there are people who will make trouble in any group because they want to do it their way.
Yeah, and not only this, how you will know that better, but pray and watch and pray.
Watch and pray.
Watch and pray. So sometimes it's not that we want to do things our way or follow our ego. Sometimes is we pray, but we are not watching closely. And Luis can speak better of that, but if we are not watching closely, if we leave like, little cracks or little openings in our defense, and yeah, that's how discarnated spirits, that's how they can invade, they can get access to a group like ours, for example, and try to provoke a storm, for example, and then dismantle the group. Luis, you want to say anything?
Yes, and to corroborate with this kind of thought, because we all have some flaws, some weak points in our personalities, weaknesses, right? And these are all mapped by those who are against the light. And the more potential a group or a personality has, the more this person will be attacked, the more this group will be attacked. And this is natural, right? This is natural in this world, because as we are in a very still, very drawback atmosphere in terms of spirituality, of love, and even for family and other spirits that are our friends from the other side can unwillingly fight against higher objectives, right? That's why there's a message by Emmanuel called Channels of Light, I think is this. And he's talking about mediumship. And he says, look, listen to your relatives, listen to your parents who are discarnate, okay, but filter what they are saying, because they are just your family, they are friends. You need to have ears to the higher spirits, which is not easy. I usually say that when you do something wrong outside and you come home and you have just friends as a spirits, okay, they will say, they'll tap your shoulders, now they say, oh, you're good, no problem, this happens, right? But if there's a higher spirit in your house, things will be a little bit more difficult. Not to forgive yourself, because they are very forgiving, but you will see your mistake, right, from alpha to omega, right, with no excuse, and at the same time feel their love, right? But it's more difficult to have a spirit guide next to you, and it's easier to have spirit friends, right?
Yeah.
Around you. So this choice for us to listen to the higher spirits, just like the Apostle John said, right? You need to know if the spirits come from God. That's it. We need to, and it's not easy, right? But of course, we will be attacked in our weaknesses all the time. And this is the learning curve we have to go through. It's natural.
Yep.
That's why we need to be very forgiving to each other in a group that wants to get mature, right? Because it's natural. We're going to make mistake. Everybody here, right? So that's it. That's how things go. Hi, Sing, please.
No, I think, well, what I was going to say really doesn't have a relevance, but it's, as I understand it, that when you see your mistake on the other side, you feel the pain that you have caused somebody else. And this is what makes it so difficult, because you feel the pain. And I think you said, oh my God, I didn't know. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you knew. So it's difficult. Yeah.
Well, hi, Senior, saying something, excuse me to speak again here, but she said something so important. She was saying, no, it's not something so important. So important, I see, because the great work for us of the Aryan race on this planet is to develop our capacity of feeling. Because as Chico Xavier used to say, he said, when you make a mistake through your mind, you don't feel you're making the mistake. And you can go on making that mistake for centuries. But when you start feeling, a person who makes a mistake through feelings is already feeling the mistake this person made. So the person goes faster. So petrifying our hearts is the true pathway for us to become Pharisees in terms of spirituality or religion. So it's not good. We need to really develop our capacity of feeling, which is not something looked for in this world nowadays.
Very nice. Thanks, Luis. And Hyacinth for the comments. Good comments out there. Yeah, I guess I'm sharing. So last time I was not here, but I guess you guys stop at 837 question. What is the effect of the restraints imposed on the freedom of conscience? And the answer, it forces people to act in a manner that conflicts with their thoughts and therefore makes them hypocrites. Freedom of conscience is one of the characteristics of true civilization and progress. So that's law of liberty. And the next question is 838. Should every belief be respected? And when it is completely false? Should every belief be respected even when it is completely false? Any comment?
That is a
anyone?
really good question, because when you have a flat Earth person who says the Earth is flat, the moon landings are all fake, the pictures of Mars are all fake, and reptiles live in tunnels underground on this planet. Now, what do you do with such a person? You clearly cannot have a real conversation with them, because they don't understand science. And if they did, they would try and twist it to say that, oh, gravity is a theory. And then I say to them, okay, if gravity is a theory, why don't you throw yourself out of a 5th floor window? Normally, a person who had a brain would throw themselves off the first step of a staircase. And to see whether gravity worked or not. You wouldn't have to go to a 5th floor. Sorry, that's a bit rude. But I don't really understand the answer that it gives, because when you get a seriously messed up set of beliefs, and then the only answer is that's what reincarnation is for. They are never going to change their mind, no matter what you show them.
I guess.
And that's what the memory wipe at birth is for, so that you can start afresh. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's not really an answer, it's just a response to that thing. Hyacinth, what have you got?
Well, it was, should everybody be respected, even when it is completely false? And I say no. If it is false, why should it be respected?
Yes, I agree with you. When it's complete nonsense, the belief, the flat earths and the reptiles in tunnels and so on. That's
I
don't know.
agree. I agree with you. I mean, I think it's no, but we do not have to start a fight because of that. Because
Yes,
remember,
right.
we all learn from our mistakes, right?
Yes, that's what I say. You
Yeah.
have, that's your belief, not mine.
We can be respect. I mean, yeah. Like Jesus said, do not throw pearls to
Cast pearls before swine.
before swines, exactly. So we just, we just don't say anything. I just keep my belief to myself. I don't have to impose my belief to anyone, right? Leda, please.
I think we go back to the spirit's learning in the spiritual world. So in the spiritual realm, we have all different stages of evolution. So spirits are in endless stages of evolution.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's why we have endless beliefs. So we should learn to respect, even though there are people who really don't understand science and who really don't understand, we don't understand some very strange and false beliefs. But as long as they don't hurt anyone, as long as they are used to the better, to making the believers better and not taking them to suicidal and things that are a hazard, we should respect, because every belief that makes us better as human beings are cooperating for the evolution of the mankind, I believe. So
I want to say that every belief, because at the very beginning, if we go back to a time when civilization didn't even recognize them as a group of human beings, but somehow they kind of had this intuition of somebody else or something else beyond them. So they were offering animals, blood, carpus, and so it was right. No, it was not right, but it was a step, right? So even when human being was creating gods, like the Romans, the Greeks, so it was a step, right?
Yeah, and I think that if we'll understand better, we should try to teach those who knows less than us. So if we know better about science, about religion, then we should not abandon or judge those who don't. We should try to teach them, to be together with them and share the experience that we have, right?
If they want to, right? If they don't want, then that's okay.
Yeah,
We just
absolutely.
go along. Maria, please.
Men who think that their reasons are infallible are very close to error. That's right. Error. All right.
Error.
Even those whose ideas are the most false thirst their own reason, and therefore they reject everything that seems impossible to them because they don't believe in it. Those who once reject the admirable, yes, admirable. Those who once reject the admirable conquest with which humanity is honored, all direct their doubts to beliefs they had, to reject new conquests, informations, or thirsts. What's called the reason, they often nothing but pride in distinguished, and those who consider themselves infallible present themselves as equal to God. We need to be careful about our believables, what we believe on it, because we don't understand the God's reasons to the God's laws. And we need to open our mind to move what we believe, because when you see something in this level and you step by another level, you can see another things. And we will do it eternally.
Yeah, whatever we learned and whatever we know now, it's just the tip of an iceberg. And the more we live and the more we study, the more we comprehend. And then if we look back, then we will realize how little we knew. We just didn't know how little we knew. Right. Thank you, Maria. All right, any other comment or question? Okay, Luis.
Yes, I think this is a very tricky question, because when you respect someone's belief, You respect someone's opinion. It doesn't mean that you agree with that opinion, agree on that opinion, right?
Yep.
So I think it's very related to the fact that we need to respect everyone, not to be derogative towards anyone, not to be disrespectful with anyone, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that you need to agree with that, right?
Yeah.
You think differently, and this is something that can save you from being completely wrong. I'll give you an example. There are some people from science, even spiritists, that were scientists and doctors, that came kind of annoyed to talk to Chico Xavier about some theories that were in his books. And Chico Xavier just said, okay, be patient. The spirits are saying that you are wrong and they are right. And the guys didn't get that, didn't like that opinion. But in the future, science proved them to be wrong, right? And Chico's book was right in the revelation. So it's something that can guard us from being in that so mistaken in this sense, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Luis. Carol, please.
I always thought that contrast was really good, a good thing, to have contrast in different belief systems. And I think if you respect those other belief systems that don't agree with yours, that sometimes that opens up a channel for them to open themselves up and ask questions.
Exactly.
And you know, and as long, but if you don't respect their belief, I don't see how people would feel comfortable opening up to, you know.
That's exactly right. What you said, as a matter of fact, reminded me some of the conversations that I have with my own mother. So she doesn't believe, for example, in reincarnation. She's very religious, but she doesn't believe in reincarnation. She doesn't believe in mediumship, for example. And whatever message that you're capable of getting is because of the Holy Spirit, you know, talking to you directly. So like this week she fell ill. She was hospitalized. She had to do a heart procedure, and it was very sudden. And by the time I became aware of that, I was at work, and all that I did, I had, you know, like seconds to say a prayer. And when I was asking my mentor to be there with her, so I was capable of seeing what's going on, and I was capable of knowing those 30 seconds that, yeah, she was taking care and everything would be all right. But the funny thing is, once she came out of the surgery room, and she was still under the effect of anesthesia, lots of drugs, etc. My sister told me that she was calling for me. She was asking where I was. She knows, you know, where I am, and I'm far away from her, but she was still calling. Okay, so where is she? And then I wanted to say, okay, perhaps you saw me, because if I saw her, perhaps she saw me. But instead of saying that, and then she asked my sister to tell me to say some prayers. And then I did, and by the time I did, I got a message for her. But I didn't say who sent that message. I didn't say, okay, mommy, my mentor, blah, blah, blah. I just said, Mom, when I said the prayer, the Holy Spirit told me this, this, and that. So I used her language, the way that she understands, and she will not close the door to the message, because it doesn't matter, you know, who the messenger is. The message is more important, right?
That's a beautiful story, Anna.
Sorry, Leda, please.
It's just that I remembered that you're mostly here in America, except for Hyacinth, right? And what made this continent a new continent? In one of the main reasons was that here we have freedom of belief. So this is a civil right that's in the United States Constitution and in our Constitution. So this is something that in Allan Kardec's time wasn't
that like
that settled, but now it's a value, really, a civil right. So it's beautiful because in the old times we couldn't be talking to the spirits. We would be seen as a witchcraft maker or something like that.
Outlaw. Remember that some of the spirit centers that we have today, but the founders, so many times they were taken to the jail.
Yeah.
And spend overnight in jail because it was considered something, you know.
Yeah, and now
illegal.
Although many people won't agree with our beliefs, because there are so many people, as you said, that don't believe in what we do. At least we have the freedom to do what we consider to be right. So this is very important.
Yeah, thank you, Lena. Luis, please.
Yes, Carol's comment reminded me of something that happened to me at university. I used to study languages, humanities, and I had a discipline called religion. And it was a priest because it was a Catholic university. And I was very curious about these religious things, and I was studying. And one day I sat down next to the teacher after class, and I said to him, I said these words, "Teacher, when do you think our holy church stopped being so holy?" And he said, 525 after Christ, Concilium of Nicaea. If I had sat beside him and said, "Oh, I'm a spiritist, and I read and lecture about spirits books," he would never say that truth to me, you know.
Luis, like, that was 325, not 525.
325, yes, thank you very much.
325.
Yes.
It
Yeah,
was
325, yes, thank you.
just
yeah,
about, and they had 50 gods lined up, 50 gods lined up to say which is the real one.
Yeah,
it was the history, the story of that meeting is really.
Thank you for correcting me, because it's not the first time I make this mistake, right? Thank you.
It's beyond belief, the nonsense that went on. And the Constantine, the emperor, he brought 4 legions with him.
Mm-hmm.
And posted them north, south, east, and west, because he knew that the people involved would pull knives on each other.
You see, Charles, imagine if I said to him that I was a spiritualist, a spiritist, he would never talk to him so intimately, right?
Yep.
But as I showed that respect, his ideas, and he opened up his heart to me.
Yep. Yeah. Very nice, Luis. Thank you.
There's something worth mentioning here too, that we have a number of dimensions in the afterlife, and that Jürgen Siever has mentioned, among others, I mean, among almost everybody else, who says that the dimension nearest to this earth dimension is full of people of 5 kinds. One of the kinds is people who do not know they are dead. And they are going on living their lives as though they were alive, including getting into their cars, driving into work, going home, sitting down with the family, and they wonder why such and such is missing because they're not there. Of course, they're somewhere else, and this enormous mess is sitting right there, and the social work required to clean this up will take 1,000 years.
Yep. Speaking of that, have everybody watched the movie The Others? No? Guys, come on.
The Others, come on, tell me, what do you mean?
The Others. I will not tell you. You look for it. It's a very nice movie. You will like it. The Others with Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman, yes. Yeah. Hyacinth, please.
Just Giles, there is no time in the next dimension as we know it. So 1,000 years does not exist.
Well, here we have a cognitive dissonance. When you have no time, events cannot take place, because when the apple falls off the table onto the floor, it has to take time to fall to the ground. If you say there's no time, the apple cannot move, and neither can anything else. So something's wrong with your story, and I'm not going to get into an argument about it. You are welcome to believe there is no time in any of the other dimensions.
Well, that's what the other people say. There is no time.
They are telling you something that you want to hear, and they're not telling you.
Anyway, okay, that's my belief, not yours. Okay.
Sounds good. Being respectful.
Yes.
So 839. Is it wrong to offend those who beliefs are different than ours?
Well, it depends if they're trying to shove them down your throat or not. If they are not trying to shove them down your throat, then they're very welcome. But that, like I say, that's what reincarnation is for. The memory wipe. Don't forget that there are the two amazing miracles, which are beyond all the other miracles. Number one is how the spirit stays attached to the body, the physical body, that is. And number two, the memory wipe. And these two things happen every incarnation.
Yeah, is wonderful.
Oh, well.
So I don't pretend to explain. What? Hyacinth?
Well, there are researchers who, when they talk to children in the Middle East and in India, they remember. They can
yes,
go
it's
to
not
a family and find this.
Yeah, yeah. Carol, please.
Okay, I cheated and read the answer, and I totally agree with their answer.
nothing absolute. These things are.
Okay, yeah. So the answer, this demonstrates a lack of charity, I agree, and infringes on the freedom of thought. And then, yeah, very straightforward. 840 is placing obstructions on beliefs that cause social disturbances and infringement on freedom of conscience. Any comment there? No?
And an implicit assumption that the infringement of freedom of conscience to place hindrance in the way of beliefs. So what kind of country has laws that place hindrances in the way of beliefs?
Maria?
I think that if we not agree but remain silent so as not to offend anyone. We act better than one, ridiculous them, because
you're talking about the previous question?
yes.
Okay.
Wait a minute, please. Wait a minute, please, Anna. I think that I'm in the wrong place. The question is 838.
840. 840.
Oh, sorry. I was talking about the other one.
Okay. No problem. So anyone else comment? You can the answer to 840, you can only repress action. Belief is inaccessible.
Yes, you can't repress belief. I mean, belief is, yeah.
Yeah. So the comment from Kardec is repressing someone from outwardly expressing a belief when those acts are harmful to others is not an infringement of their freedom of conscience, as this repression leaves the belief itself entirely free. Any comment? All right, so A41, should we allow the spread of pernicious doctrines out of respect for freedom of conscience? Should we instead try to bring those who are led astray by false principles back to the right path without violating that freedom? It's a long question just to say, should we stop someone from doing what they think is best for them? Are we invading or violating their right for freedom of belief?
Well, you see that they're fighting for that now, aren't they, with the woke?
Say that again, Heisen.
No,
Sorry.
people now are fighting for what they believe in, and that they want other people to believe the way they believe.
Mm-hmm.
They have always done that since 5,000 years ago. And of course, the ones we know who've done that best and most successfully are, guess what? Christians.
Leda, please.
Yeah, I think as that there's two different things. As an institution, as the law or the state, you cannot do that. But as a person and as someone who has a friend, and you can try to teach the person to open their mind and to change out of love, out of trying to help, but respecting their free will always, right? But not as an institution, because as Giles said, it's I don't believe the state. That was one of the biggest mistakes of the Catholic Church, is forcing people to believe in something, because you cannot force someone to believe in anything.
You cannot impose. Agree.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria.
The abuse of force to do this is against the God's law. Every abuse, every absolute subjection of one man to another is directly contrary to the law of liberty. These abuses will disappear with the progress of humanity, with the progress of woman being.
Human being.
as
Yeah,
all injustice will gradually disappear too.
yeah,
We need to do the good what we can do and contribute to change the things.
Yeah.
In my life, in my family's life, my neighbors, my friends. I think that the change begins with
yeah.
us.
Yeah, I agree. And just to reinforce what you said, because what you said reminded me of Chico Xavier again. Remember that Chico, he was working as a spiritist, like doing charity and, working on this spiritist center in a time when I want to say 95% of the population in Brazil was Catholic. The other 5% perhaps was Presbyterian or, Protestants. And less than 1% was really Spiritist. So, however, he never imposed his belief to anyone, never. And he was never doing his charity based on what that person belief was. He didn't even ask. So I guess, as we see those examples, more and more, it's a good way for us to start also guiding our lives, I guess. Luis, please.
I remember people saying that to Chico Xavier when he received his family at his home in Uberaba, he decorated the house with Catholic images because everybody was Catholic. So he put, yes, images and posters and pictures just
Respect,
to host,
right?
yeah,
Respect.
just to host them in a loving way of receiving their family.
I do have this is in Hyacinth, this is like the cross of Saint Benedict. My mother gave me. So I just kept it here. This is my mother to me. So that's the way that she believes that I'll be protected as being away from her.
That's right.
Right?
Don't knock it. Don't knock it. She knows a thing or two that you don't know.
Yes.
And she gave it to you out of love.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you can't go wrong there.
Yeah. Yeah. Luis, would you please read the answer for us? You have a better voice.
Thank you. Certainly one can, and indeed one must, but teach following Jesus' example, using gentleness and persuasion, and not resorting to force, which would be worse than the belief of the one he would like to convince. If there's anything that ought to be imposed, it is goodness and fraternity, but we do not believe that the means for doing so is violence. Conviction cannot be imposed. Wow.
Wow.
All time's up. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Luis. Any comment, folks, before we call for the day? All righty.
No, I think that Jesus really was a master teacher.
Yes, and
Because,
apparently he didn't say, he said many things that were private to the disciples. And because he knew that the regular population wouldn't understand them. That's something I've read somewhere else. Anyway, Anna, you say, let's do 8:42 before we go. Come on, it's an easy one.
Okay.
Can I just say one thing to Giles?
Yes.
What he said on the last night before he was crucified. I have many things to say to you, but you wouldn't understand them.
That's right.
A lot of the
Okay.
things he said to disciples, they didn't understand. They-
Yeah. It
All
didn't
right, I was
say
assuming that
everything.
he picked the disciples because they were smarter than the average bear, so he
No,
could tell them better things.
no, they weren't smarter. John was something else.
Okay, well, let's do 842.
All right. So you read the question then.
Which one? Yours or mine?
842.
Okay, I'll read yours.
Oh,
All
no.
doctrines claim to be the sole expression of the truth. How can we recognize the one that is most deserving of this title?
What is the answer?
The answer is they're all doctrines are BS is the answer. Because if you think you can contain the entire knowledge of the universe in some kind of dogmatic statement, then you're barking up the wrong tree. Sorry, and I haven't read the answer yet, but I'll read the answer.
Yes.
The truest doctrine is the one that has the fewest hypocrites and the greatest number of truly virtuous individuals. In other words, people practicing the law of charity in its greatest purity and in its widest application. This is how you may recognize a doctrine that is true, because any doctrine that causes rifts between God's children is nothing but false and evil. I'm
But
sorry to
see-
laugh, but that's sorry, it's
I do not know if you saw, but it calls for fewest hypocrites, meaning we are still in progress. We are a work in progress. So there is no such a thing like a truth, especially talking about people living in a world of trial and atonement. There is no way we will understand everything or know everything. Sorry, Carol, please.
I like that saying that says, feel with the heart and know with the soul.
Yep.
That your feelings always give you truth.
That's exactly right, because we bring the natural laws in our consciousness. Maria, please.
When we listen or reading this question and these answers, we can say to us, oh, yes, I understand what I have to do. But when we have in our lives some trouble with a son, a husband, a wife, or a mother, and we leave the problems that the bad situation put us to live.
Mm-hmm.
When I know about the same situation that is occurring with you, Anna, or with Heisen, or with Giles, my problem is not bigger than yours.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to try to help your mother, your son, your daughter, like I need to help my own.
Mm-hmm.
If I can
yeah.
feel it in my life, if your trouble is my trouble,
Mm-hmm.
we are living what we are reading now.
Yeah, I see. Empathy, in other words.
But we need to practice it really.
It's not a habit yet. Yes, I agree. We do not have that as a habit. We are still in learning. Yeah, thank you. Hyacinth, please.
Yes, I keep quoting all the time from St. Stephen, and you must understand that this is when he spoke through a medium, and they were asking him, because the chief person was a clergyman, he was asking him these questions. Anyway, they asked Stephen what was true, what is a truth? And he said, in truth, there is no dissension.
Mhm. I like it.
Hyacinth, you reminded me of something which is which I cannot give any references for, but it was just such a lovely story. I heard it told on the BBC, and it said that in ancient times, the rishis of India, ancient times meaning what, 5,000 years ago, that they would have a meeting every 5 years or so. And the meeting was a discussion where they would explain their opinion of God. What was God in their opinion? And the participants, the people who are going to take part in the conversation, the meeting, would have to go to the forest and meditate and fast for some days before the meeting. And then when they felt sufficiently enlightened, turn up to the meeting, and then they would all give their opinions one after the other on what was God. And the winner every 5 years or so was the person that, when they gave their explanation, all the rest shut up. And you just reminded me of that, Hyacinth, because that was such a lovely system of deciding who won the God description. In ancient India, the rishis, that was the one that left the others all speechless. And
Sounds a good
could
thing.
we have such a conversation today? I doubt it, because somebody would always come back with something. But I thought that was a lovely story, and I hope it would. I hope somebody can bring me a reference for that story one of these days.
Were they deciding on what God was over all thousands of years?
No, they were just to say who had the best description of God. That was it. Was
Yes, but this went on every 5 years. For how long?
yes. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember, and it may have been every 7 years, because they would have had to come from all over. I just don't remember the reference, or I don't think she gave a reference. But anyway, that's a story I heard, and one of those things that stick in your mind because it was so good.
Thank you all. And I hope to see you all next 24th, Saturday 24th. Okay. See you. Have a good one,
Right.
folks.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.